Hi, I'm Yair and I'm from TestFairy, and I want to talk to you about crowd testing. We call it crowd testing magic. Why crowd testing? And first of all, how many of you work in a company that has an Android app? How many of you leave your hand if you develop that app, if you write code? And how many of you have more than 5 devices on your desk? Oh, that's a lot. Okay, so you know why crowd testing is necessary. And when we develop for Android, you all know the fragmentation problem. We're not going to talk about it. The last numbers are 11,800 devices. And you all know why you need the crowd. I'm going to show you how we do crowd testing, a few tips, and we'll show it with a nice app that Ran developed. And we'll show now a live session of crowd testing. If you have an Android device, please go to this URL, testfairy.com/GDG. Get the app, install it on your device, and let's make this interesting. In many of the presentations you saw things that were prepared in advance. We're taking a risk here because it's family and friends. So let's give it a try. If you have an Android device, don't leave it in your pocket. Please download this app, testfairy.com/GDG. OK, so until you get this app, and we'll have Ran's app in the air, and we'll see on the screen here what you do, I'll start with another app that we have prepared in advance. This app is called GroupShot. And it shows what TestFairy is all about. When you develop and you have your app tested in the crowd, you don't know what your testers did. They might tell you that the app works great, and they might tell you that the app sucks. But what exactly did you do before it crashed? Did you click on this button or that button or both? Did you have Wi-Fi or 3G? How good was your reception? Did you have other apps running in the background? There's so many questions and so little answers because it's not someone sitting next to you in the office. It's someone in India or Bulgaria or New York or Petah Tikva. People that you don't know or you can't speak to. And you have so many questions that you want to ask. And the main question is, how did the app look like on that remote device? So here is a short session of an app called GroupShot. You see exactly where the user touched on the screen, how the screen looks like. Everything that happened on the app is recorded, so that when you have a bug or you want to know how good your app was tested, you don't have any further questions. You have all the answers here. In addition to that, you can see memory performance, CPU. You can see network performance. You can see phone signal here. The ABCs here stands for incoming call, off hook, and disconnect. Sometimes apps crash when there's an incoming call. If you'll see this memory graph here, you see the memory allocation here. That was a very high memory allocation. If that would cross this line, the app would crash. Sometimes you don't know what is the reason for the app to crash. You get the Crashalytics log. You get lots of information that is very helpful, but sometimes it's not enough. I just want to mention that there are many tools to do many of the things we'll see here. I'll mention all of them. It's not the only solution for everything we do here. If you just joined, we're going to have the, if you walked in right now, we're going to run the demo with this app, testfairy.com/GDG. If you have an Android device, please download this app, install it on your Android, and we'll see it in a minute live. Play with it. People play with their phones anyhow during presentations. So this time, please do that. So back to our demo app. So when testing apps, you want to see what happened on the app. And there are many things that are just one big question mark. One of the things that you want to know is how good your testing is. And when I'm saying how good your testing is my app is complicated. In this app, we have 17 activities, fragments, screens, as non-developers call them. This app was tested on these devices. This matrix shows you which device had which activity running. You can see that the HTC was tested on 2 activities, and the LG Nexus 4 was tested on 10 activities. So looking at this matrix that was created automatically in real time, you can understand how good your testing is. You know that the HTC guy didn't really test your app. He just opened the app, saw the splash screen, said, OK, I tested the app, works great. You're going to be a millionaire, best app ever. You all heard that sentence before when you send your app to friends. That's what they say. But they're not real friends because they didn't test your app. This guy did an excellent job. He tested 10 activities out of 16. That's good enough. That's probably the typical user or somebody that tried to pick on all activities. We can actually see here that nobody clicked on, nobody opened the image viewer activity, the gallery. Nobody opened the tweet activity. Maybe there's a usage issue here. Maybe the buttons are not working. Maybe the buttons are not clear. It's user behavior. That's also information that is very important for us as developers. I want to go into Ran's app. I think we have enough people that download it by now. And it's called Wiser, and it's an app that helps non-techie users to use their smartphone, like your grandparents or people that hate technology and they just want to have an app that makes their Android, I want to make calls and send text messages, that's it. You see all those people here? These are people from the crowd here. Guy and the Schnitzel and Avivga and probably people, whose name did I mention? Yeah, everybody's here. So this is happening now. Let's open the Schnitzel guy session, and we'll see exactly what he did. He opened the app. He just clicked on the gallery, and he switched. We see that he's opened a different activity. You didn't do anything, dude. OK, that's a session. That's something that we can learn from. The guy opened the app, and he had the screen running. He didn't do anything special. We can look for a session that has more activities. Let's look at a session that. I had a crash. Maybe it's good for you. Who had a crash? What's your email?
I want to say this is a.
Don't say anything.
Version that's supposed to crash a lot.
Oh, that should have been a surprise. Ran planted some funny exceptions here. We'll see those exceptions in a minute. What's your email?
Mail to.
Mail. Let's look for Mail here.
There is.
Mail. Mail.
57. Mail to 57.
Eran, this is you. So this is your session. Let's look what you did in just before the app crashed. There's a 1-minute, 29-second session. Let's just jump to the last 10 seconds of the app. You probably click on one of the buttons. Don't tell me. I'll tell you in a second. And then you said you clicked on the dialer? OK. OK, let's see. These are all the screenshots. Sometimes you want to see, full resolution of every screenshot that was taken. That might help you in design or anything specific. We don't have the information yet. It'll be loaded in a second. That was session 57. OK. It's coming up. It'll be here in a minute. Let's look at a few more things that I want to show you. Who had a crash here? Oh, everybody had a crash. Well, blame the developer. He planted those crashes in advance. You see here that we had 22 times a crash called illegal state exception. And this won't happen in Linux. That was from the guy with the red shirt over there. There's 3 guys crashed the app with an exception called illegal state exception. Too many iPhones around. You probably understand that that's internal jokes. And I think that some of the crashes here are real. Like this one is null pointer exception. Ran, did you plant that in advance, the null pointer exception of get unread SMS count? Or is this one real? OK, this one is real. So we can see exactly what the user did. Let's dive into that session of Harry Potter and see what Harry did. Ooh, no screenshots. OK. There's probably something here. The matrix, the pie charts that you see here show you all the resolutions, the devices, and Android versions that were tested. You see that in this room, in 5 minutes of crowd test, we tested like 15 devices with that many resolutions, crazy amount of data collected in 0 effort. If you'll invite your Facebook followers or Google Plus followers, if you're on Google Plus, or anything, or just your address book, invite your friends to join the test and ask them to run a very simple test with your app. You'll get so much information in really 0 effort. Can I run the heat maps, or it's in progress? If we look at more information about the app that we're testing, let's open the dialer fragment. The dialer fragment is you all know what Hitmaps are? Anybody doesn't know what Hitmaps are? OK, so Hitmaps shows you the most frequent touch on a screen. If it's red, you see here the red color means that was very frequent and very popular. And the lighter the color is, less people clicked on it. So you see that nobody clicked on any number with an asterisk. Very few. That's, of course, a stupid example of watching a dialer and see how many digits were clicked here. But you see that very few people clicked on a new contact button. Very few clicked on the call history. Most of you clicked on this backspace button. Maybe that's an interesting fact, that when people dial, they hit the backspace a lot. I want to show a few more things about the numbers that are collected during a test and numbers that we can learn from. You saw in the first screen that we collect memory and CPU usage. Let's go to that screen. I showed it on GroupShot. I didn't show it on this app. I'm just opening a random session that was here. You see that memory and CPU numbers are collected. This is a test that was made with a phone with no SIM card, maybe? Who did that with adx.org email address? Never mind. That was a phone with no phone signal. And we can see the exact memory footprint of the app while it's being tested. If we look at the statistics screen, we'll see the maximum memory usage of the app per device. We can see that some devices use more memory than others. Look at this LG G2, somebody in this room probably, who's using 117 megabyte. Look at this guy, 20, 58, 53, 60, 76. That's probably the average memory usage. We're doing something wrong on the LG, or maybe the LG is doing something wrong and we need to adjust. That's something very, very interesting for you as developers to know how different devices behave. If we look at the rest of the statistics here, sometimes we're managing testers. Sometimes it's an external company. Sometimes there are people in our team. And we want to know who worked, who did how many tests. You can see that, oh, that's me. I did 11 tests just before we started here. So I had to put some blood in the system. So you can see how many users had tested your app, how many minutes each one of them, how many tests. The last thing that I want to talk about before we go to some questions is the delivery. And I think that's the most important thing to understand, how simple it is and how important it is for you as developers. This system is great, and I'm sure you'll try it. There are other ways to do it. There's the beta community from Google that allows you to invite people to your testing group. There's TestFlight, which is a huge player in the iOS market, and they started the Android this year, and people say that they're doing great. There's Hockey app that are doing an excellent job. There are very easy ways to distribute apps to testers and have them test your app. We're focusing on TestFairy and the feedback coming from the app after you send it for testers. But if you don't have a beta group for your app that you're developing, no matter if your company is big or you're indies, you must have one this evening. It's a crime not to have one. If you're a developer and you're developing for Android, why wouldn't your friends help you? It's so easy, and they will help. We see that people love trying new apps. We have tried sponsored campaigns inviting people to help customers of ours to test apps. We just put $40 on a Facebook campaign, and we said, help us test a new app, and just put a link to a landing page that I'll show you in a second. People just love to help. They love to try new apps. It's exciting. Sometimes this app is really cool. If it sucks, they'll uninstall, and you'll have statistics that people try your app and you have zero retention. That's also very valuable information. Same about the crash reports. There are so many services that collect crash reports. TestFairy is not the only one, and we didn't invent anything here. There's Crashalytics that are doing an excellent job. There's BugSense. There's so many of them. I'm sure you know them, but collecting all those data from your beta users is so cheap and is so easy. You must do it. The way we invite people to join the ride is after you upload an app to the system, you have three options. This is the screen that shows you how we do it. Some other companies do it in a very similar way. They have different names for everything. You can either send invitations to testers to test your app. TestFairy is doing exactly the same, and Hockey app exactly the same. You can build a community and invite people to join the community. That's what Google is doing successfully. Their service is very easy. The only con is that the user has to use Google+, but any Android user has Google+, even if they don't know that they have it. So that's not a big challenge. So if you want to invite a user, you just enter their email address, and they'll get an email saying, please join the ride. If you want to, let's show it here. if you want to do the beta community, here is the page that I've just sent you. When you went to testferry.com/GDG, you were redirected to this page, explaining you that the Wiser Android app is ready for testing, and we're looking for volunteers. If you'll just take this URL here, let's do it. We'll just click here and post it on Twitter. That's it. Let's click here, put it on Google+, and click here. Now it's on Facebook. 3 clicks, all my my followers know that I'm testing an app, and they got a message, help us test the Wiser Android app. And if you didn't see it, you have a QR code here and a download button. That's about it. It's very easy to use. And if you're not doing beta testing with your apps, please do it today. So questions, and I'll be very happy to talk about technical stuff. Gil is here, by the way, my awesome partner. And yes?
How does it display the screenshot? Does it come from the application or predefined by the programmer?
OK, the question was about the screenshots, if they're uploaded automatically or need to do anything on the app. Something very important that I didn't mention, one of the key factors of this service is that you don't need to do any change in the tested app. All you need to do is take your APK, upload it to TestFerry, and we do everything on the server. We open the app, we add our code, and we close it. It's a process called instrumentation. We'll not discuss that here because it's a very long talk, but it's there's zero work for the developer. The only thing that should be remembered is that we sign the app with our certificate, without signature, because we don't have yours and we'll never ask for yours. And if you want to use the app with your signature, then there's an option for that here. That screen that I showed you that had 3 options. The first option was invite users by email. The second option was with the community. And the third option is if you're using Google Play and you want to have your beta testers have a successful Google Play experience, then get the app back from our server, sign it yourself, and send it to testers with your signature. But if you don't have Google Play or anything that requires your certificate, then mine is as good as yours, so you don't need to worry about that. The important thing is that we'll never ask for your certificate because we don't want to hold certificates from developers. It's too dangerous. Don't give anyone your certificate, even if they say that their service is really great. One day we'll ask for certificates, and then they'll show me this video. Yes?
When I upload my app to your service, what permissions are changed in the process?
As I said, nothing needs to be done on your side. If we need to add permissions, we'll do it automatically. Which permissions we add? We add permissions for network, for logs. Let me show you an example of one of the features that I wanted to show and it didn't load when I opened it. We get all the logcats from the devices. So if you had a test that was writing quite a lot of logs, and it's very challenging to correlate the logs to the video, we'll show you all the logcats from the device. And if you'll see here, you see the timestamps here. The timestamps match the video. So you'll know on which activity you wrote which log line. So regarding permissions, nothing to do on your side. We'll add the permissions for logs, for network state, for phone state, incoming calls, and things like that. You need to remember that this is a testing service, so we're pretty open with the permissions we ask. If we would go to the your real customers, that would be an issue, and then we'll do different permissions. But usually, it's not a problem.
Oh, but, cannot use your service to say if I wanted to test coverage of my application and on real.
If you're asking about real traffic with your real customers, the answer is not yet. I don't want to talk about it more than that, but we have some ideas about how to do it right. Not yet. Will happen. Yes?
I don't need to upload my application to the market, right?
No, no need to upload the application to the market. Any app, any APK that you have and you upload to TestFairy, you can send to your testers.
But I have an issue with Google Maps in my app, and I need the production keys. If I don't upload it, the testers will not be able to use the Google Maps.
There is a specific thing we need to do with Google Maps. I'll be happy to show it later, and the settings here. There's a way to hack that. For Google Maps, for Facebook APIs, well, you know what? I'll show it here. If you'll go to a specific project here and you'll go to the settings of that project, you'll have, oh, this one doesn't have maps. Anyhow, if the app uses the Facebook API or the Google API, we'll show you a text box with a hash key that you need to add to your account. But it's very easy. Yes?
What about data usage? The beta tester need to send the videos to your server.
Data usage is a very good question. Actually, in one of the projects that we had here last week with Yalo, I can actually show. I have a screenshot of Yalo statistics here. I'll show it in a second. One of the users called them and said that they're using his bandwidth too much, and they came to us and say, "What are you doing?" So there's a checkbox for that, allowing you to choose if you want to record Wi-Fi on video on Wi-Fi or on 3G. So you can configure that. If you want to do it for your team and you say we have unlimited bandwidth on our cell phone package, then go for the 3G. If you are sending it to people that you don't know, it is strongly recommended that you will work only on Wi-Fi. It's much better. One question that nobody asked and I wanted to mention here is what about private data? If you have a credit card number or passwords or anything that you don't want to record, let's say that your app is a messaging app, SMS, and you don't want to have the content of that guy talking to his girlfriend. You just want to have the screen and the crashes and the behavior. So there's an option to hide specific fields. If you'll add a log line to the app with the ID of the web view or anything, or the control that you want to hide, you'll just write there hash testFairy hide and the ID. And if we'll see that log, we'll not record specific fields. So that's very good for credit cards, for passwords, for anything that is private that you don't want to know.
This is opening another intent, like external Android application. Does it take screenshots of that?
No, we don't record external apps. Like if you'll go to Facebook, we'll show you that we opened Facebook, but we will not show you what happened on Facebook. We'll show you. Actually, Ran's app is. Hold on, Ran's app is a very good example for that, because there are lots of activities that are. Okay, I can't see it here. But if you'll open an app from your app, we'll show you that Facebook was opened with these parameters, and Facebook is now active. When you're back, we'll show you that you're back from Facebook and you continue using your app. We will not record WhatsApp or Facebook or Gmail or anything. Yes?
What about updating your app?
Sorry?
What about updating your app?
Updating is, the question was what about updating your app? So you can imagine that we have an answer for that. There's a checkbox here. You see that auto update checkbox. if we'll turn this one on and we'll upload the new build, then all of you will, next time you use the app, you'll see a dialog saying updating to version. Actually, Ran will upload the new app tomorrow morning, and if any one of you will continue using his app, please do help him test it. So you'll see that he has a better app with all the crashes here fixed. So it's uploaded automatically, silently. We will not ask the tester if he wants to update. We'll just notify him updating. That was a big question with some of our customers, that at the beginning we asked the tester if he wants to update or not. And our customers said, don't ask him. If he doesn't want to update, we don't want him in the game. So please tell him that updating, that's it. So you'll see a progress bar updating, 3 points, and you'll see the app installed with the new version.
Do you support the integration like Jenkins? Is there an API to?
Yes, there is an API. In fact, I was just waiting for a confirmation from the first company that released a plugin of TestFairy officially is NetBeans. Oracle NetBeans, I'm sure you all heard about them. So the guys from NetBeans love our service, and they released by themselves a TestFairy plugin for NetBeans. So if you'll go to NetBeans website, you'll see we're there, very proud. They wrote 3 blog posts on our service. So we'll have plugins for NetBeans, for IntelliJ, for Eclipse, for anything that. Yes, everything. We have the API, and now to wrap it with a plugin, all the environments will support that. That's it. Thank you so much.